The following featured presentation is part of the Skywalking Network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 452 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
And there are scenes in this episode that you just want to see on the big screen.
Yes. Oh.
Da, 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 da.
Project Necromancer.
So I take it that Hemlock did not see Rogue One. Because just say midichlorian. We know what you're saying. Just say midichlorian.
Yeah, and isn't she technically older than them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like the culmination of my journey as a performer and Omega's journey as a character.
We heard that, we went, ah, ha, ha, ha.
Are you ready?
Welcome to Neverland.
Here we go!
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets lab.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never Land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers! Clone Force 99 is back, and this time, they have a Batcher. The long-awaited Bad Batch Season 3 is here, and we have so much to share. But for right now, we want to welcome you back to Skywalking Through Neverland. I am Richard Woloski, but now everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife Sarah, who looks very cute in her Ahsoka-inspired outfit.
Yes, that's because we went high and low. We searched high and low at Disneyland Resort and got the new Ahsoka Tano Ashley Eckstein designed mouse ears. And I love them. They're my favorite.
Wait a minute, is this foreshadowing? Are we going to see Ahsoka in the Bad Batch? Not spoiling anything because we don't know. I thought maybe you knew something that I didn't.
I don't, but I just wanted to be Star Wars inspired, and this seemed to be a good outfit. And honestly, the colors are very Bad Batchy, right? You know, you got kind of that burnt orange and some grays and blues.
Okay.
Bad Batch,
I can
right?
see where you're going with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all I'm saying.
I thought you were trying to tell us something.
No. If anything, I would dress as Fennec Shand then.
Ooh, okay.
Which, that would be fun.
Yeah, but okay. All right. That's all we're going to say there.
All we're going to say. All right. Well, Skywalkers, we are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, and pop culture fandom. So it's time for your weekly Wookiee hug and your little sprinkle of pixie dust for our family of Skywalkers. Now, we are not live on the YouTube channel right now because we are under embargo by Disney and Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
so
we have lots of things coming up about the Bad Batch, which we can't share live.
Yes, but we are going live at other times. So if you can, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Skywalking Through Neverland to get notified when we go live.
Yeah, because when you guys watch live on YouTube, then you get to see all the fun classic Marvel Star Wars comics. Like next week, we're gonna do that. You'll get to see all the fun panels. I just love sharing all those panels with everyone.
It is really fun.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, just watching anything live is always fun.
All right, well, in this episode, we are reviewing the first 3 episodes of The Bad Batch, which premiered on February 21st on Disney+. And Richard and I also participated in the Bad Batch virtual press junket, where we had roundtables with Dee Bradley Baker, who is the voice of the clones and Batcher. Also Michelle Eng, who is the voice of Omega. She is just the cutest. Mm-hmm. And then we had a roundtable with Brad Rau, who is the supervising director and executive producer on The Bad Batch, and Jennifer Corbett, who is the head writer and executive producer on The Bad Batch. So throughout our review, we will be sharing sound bites from those as it applies to our conversation. But If you want to hear the complete press roundtables, please go to our Skywalking Through Neverland YouTube channel. They are all there. Everyone who is in those roundtables is credited, and we are very happy with all the questions and answers there. It was great.
Yeah, 3 separate videos to really dive into, to hear so many fun behind the scenes stories, and just to see how excited these people are to talk about the Bad Batch.
Oh, yeah.
You think we're excited to talk about the Bad Batch? Well, when you get Omega talking and
and Wrecker and Hunter and
yeah, they break into their voices.
Crosshair.
So
oh my
much
gosh.
fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, right now we got something else to tell you, that we are being sponsored by Small World Vacations, and they are a diamond level Disney vacation planner travel agency and can help you book your trip to a Disney park around the world. And best of all, this service is free. Yes, you heard that right. Free of charge. So head over there to smallworldvacations.com for a no obligation price quote and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Now, we are recording this episode from Long Beach, California on February the 20th. 2024.
Yes, this is Bad Batch Eve.
Yes. So, what happened today in Star Wars history, Richard?
Well, on this date, February the 20th, but in 2003, 21 years ago. Well, speaking of new animated series, Lucasfilm and Cartoon Network announced the new Clone Wars micro series. And this new series of 3 to 5 minute shorts by Genndy Tartakovsky pick up where Attack of the Clones leaves off.
Okay.
And right before Revenge of the Sith. In fact, the series does go into the events of Revenge of the Sith, which makes it really, really fun.
Yeah, I never knew this series existed until I was with you, Richard, and you're like, hey, by the way, there's this series. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we watched it all together.
Yeah, and then we even did a breakdown of all the episodes, and you can find those breakdowns of the Clone Wars series in Skywalking Through Neverland episodes 174 and 186.
Nice.
Yeah, now this was the first new series of Star Wars after the Ewoks in 1986.
Oh my God. Well, that makes sense.
86 to 2003, we had nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. That was the dark times.
Yeah. So on this date, this is when Lucasfilm and Cartoon Network announced this new animated series, which made everyone so excited. And they were even previewing the new bad guy, the new Revenge of the Sith bad guy, which is General Grievous. And this harkened back to the Star Wars Holiday Special, previewing Boba Fett before The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
So look at that ring. Is that a ring cycle?
Kind of.
Is that what they call that?
Everything rhymes.
Everything?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was really, really exciting. So once again, go back to our Skywalking Through Neverland episodes 174 and 186 for those breakdowns of Clone Wars. Not the Clone Wars, but Clone Wars. Drop the. The belongs to Dave Filoni.
Yes.
All right, with that now, let's move on to Things We Want to Share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Well, the thing we want to share with you, Skywalkers, is to remind you that Things We Want to Share is now its own live stream show on YouTube. So every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, you too can join in the fun. We did our first Things We Want to Share yesterday, live on YouTube. And if you can't make it then, you can always watch it back on the Skywalking Through Neverland YouTube channel. It was great. We had a couple dozen people joining in, and they all chimed in with their comments, and it was really fun. And this week, we talked about new restaurants at Universal Studios, because we did another visit there.
Yeah, as well as the Waterworld show.
Yes. And then we also talked about the Disney Fortnite announcement.
Which now makes sense to me.
Yeah, see, I did a lot of research on that and gave everybody more details. And also Star Wars Night tickets. And I have an update on that, because the tickets were available for Inspire Magic Keys to buy today, this morning, and we just got it. We just got those tickets. We are going on April 18th with a whole posse, and so if you guys want to join in or see us on the next 2 days, depending on a Magic Key level or whether you just want to go, they will be available for purchase on the 21st and the 22nd.
Yeah, so Skywalkers, if you're going to be there on April 18th, please, please, please let us know. We'd love to do a huge Skywalker meetup.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, with that, let's see how Clone Force 99 can save the galaxy in the third and final season of The Bad Batch. And yes, there will be spoilers. Hopefully at this time, you'll have already seen the first 3 episodes.
Attention Skywalkers! Spoilers ahead!
Warning! Warning!
Attention Skywalkers! Spoilers ahead!
Warning! Warning!
Spoilers ahead! Spoilers ahead!
They are coming. For all of you. Give us a real challenge.
The Bad Batch Season 3, the final season, Richard, the final season, premiered on Disney Plus on February 21st with 3 pulse-pounding episodes. So after viewing these episodes ourselves, we were invited to participate in a fan site roundtable with executive producer and supervising director Brad Rau, head writer and executive producer Jennifer Corbett, the Omega voice actor Michelle Ng, and the voice of the Bad Batch himself, Dee Bradley Baker. And let me just say, I love it when we can chat to the creators of these properties.
Oh yeah, get more behind the scenes stories and ask them, what did you mean by this? And what did you mean by that? And have them break it down for us.
And again, we are going to sprinkle their conversation a little bit within our conversation of these episodes. So, but before we move on to our review and breakdown of season 3 here, these first 3 episodes, where do we leave off with Clone Force 99 in season 2?
Well, the Empire is raining terror across the galaxy, and the Emperor is exploring new ways to increase its power. One such maneuver is the redevelopment of Kaminoan cloning techniques, which is being held at Mount Tantus. In need for a pure genetic codex from Jango Fett, a massive hunt for Omega is underway. Meanwhile, Clone Force 99 sought a peaceful life on the island village of Pabu. But in a final mission to rescue Crosshair, ends in tragedy. During the mission, Tech sacrifices himself to save his clone brothers. Now, the bad luck for the Bad Batch doesn't end there, as Sid, that little Trandoshan who's been providing work for Clone Force 99, she betrays them. This betrayal leads Omega into the Empire's hands, and she is captured. Now, Omega is held at Mount Tantus under the watchful eye of Dr. Hemlock, who is in charge of the cloning experiments. In a turn of events, Omega learns that she has a clone sister in Dr. Hemlock's assistant, Emery Carr. Also held at the hidden Imperial base is Crosshair, who recently turned against the Empire as he finally understands that they do not care about the well-being of clones.
Yeah.
All right, so Sarah, now let's move on to these first 3 episodes. So give us your overall impression of this story arc.
Okay, yeah, so the first 3 episodes, the first episode you see Omega in Mount Tantus and Crosshair in Mount Tantus, and you see the days are very monotonous. The second episode we get Wrecker and Hunter, right? And what they're doing in the galaxy, and you know, their primary mission is to rescue Omega, but they have a lot of hoops to jump through before they do that. And then the third episode, Omega ends up escaping with Crosshair from Mount Tantus. So that's what happens in that arc. And wow, that was so exciting. And I'm so glad that they released these 3 together because they really work as a unit. I feel like if they just released episode 1, which is like very monotonous, and it's not boring per se, but it's meant to feel...
It's monotonous by design.
By design, exactly. It's meant to feel, you're meant to feel like claustrophobic. You're meant to feel like, oh, this is terrible. Like, is this going on forever and ever? And so her days are very gray. So I really liked that because by the time you get to this third episode, there's a huge climactic moment in which she and Crosshair, with Batcher, escape Mount Tantus, and it's super exciting. So I loved seeing those 3 together, and yeah, overall, I'm in. I'm like totally in on this series. I think Crosshair and Omega have some great moments, and I love the addition of Batcher.
Yeah, the structure really parallels what Omega is going through.
Yeah.
Because as we'll go into later on, we see this dripping water again and again and again. And we see Omega as she does the same thing every single day at Mount Tantus, because she is the assistant to Emery Carr, her clone sister. And it's just like the Empire, it's just very monotonous, same thing again and again and again. And they really showcase that extremely well in the way these episodes are structured.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I love the series that focuses on a small family unit, much like Rebels did. The Clone Wars, I loved Clone Wars, but it was very big. Each week you could follow a different set of characters, but I love more of spotlighting a certain family, and this is what this does. And the Bad Batch has always given me the same small, intimate excitement.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, the first couple of seasons were great, and I love that the intimacy between these clone brothers and how they took in Omega and how she became an equal. And so now they're now a nice family unit, and now they've got to go out and right the wrongs of the galaxy. This little family unit, just like the way the Spectres did in Rebels.
Yeah, and isn't she technically older than them?
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
Which she points out time and time again.
Yeah.
Now these first 3 episodes gives us a very intense arc where Omega is being kept at Mount Tantus, and she soon discovers that she has no degradation to her clone DNA, and that's what they're looking for.
Well, now, is it no degradation, or she has a certain M count in it?
Well, that's the thing too. There's a couple of different layers that the Empire's going after.
Okay.
But they want to find a pure clone DNA.
Okay.
And that's why they're doing all these tests. And she has got no degradation to her DNA. So she's a sitting time bomb there.
Right. And let's see, Nala Se knows this.
Oh yeah, she knows this, and she's protecting Omega the best she can.
Like very slowly.
Yes.
She is protecting.
Yes, she even tells when she's taking all these blood samples, she discards Omega's blood sample just so she'll never be found out. But that's where the intensity comes in.
Yeah.
Now, all the while, she has connected with her clone brother, Crosshair, even though he keeps telling her, move on. And not only does she make a connection with Crosshair again, she makes a connection with Batcher.
Yeah.
Which is this Lurka beast. It's kind of like a part tiger, part rhino.
Well, I would say it's a dog. Most of all, like dog wolf, because she howls at the moon.
Yeah, okay, all right.
At the end of that first episode.
So rhino and dog,
it's a dog
and wolf and big cat.
Right.
Now, after seeing how much Omega has grown in this season, I wonder how much we're going to see of Omega in the future. This is the last season of the Bad Batch. Now, I think we have seen the end of the Bad Batch characters, but I think Omega will continue on. She's too much of a big important character at this point to just leave behind. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, based on some things that Michelle Ang said, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, but that's her.
Right.
Versus the creative forces at Lucasfilm, who are not going to throw away a good character like this. But the Bad Batch, great characters, but I think after this, their story has been told.
Right.
And
yeah.
now,
I guess it would be interesting to see like her actually interface with Boba Fett at some point, because they're like, brother, sister. So yeah, if just for that reason, I hope they keep her around. Yeah. And whatever this connection of no degradation in her cells or M count, whatever it is, we definitely, that'll be answered at the end of this series, I'm sure, because that's what it's leading to. But yeah, that only opens up the door for more questions.
Now, one more thing. I'm loving all the connections between Bad Batch and the rest of the Star Wars galaxy. including the search for a being with a high M count.
Yeah.
We heard that. We went, ah, ha, ha, ha. And of course, we saw this in The Mandalorian when they were looking for the high M count with Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna. Okay, Brad and Jennifer, just say midichlorian. We know what you're saying. Just say midichlorian.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're all thinking, of course.
Yeah, it could be something different. But
yeah.
come on, when in the Mandalorian they were looking for that high M count in Grogu, so that could only mean one thing.
Right.
And also, there's another Mandalorian connection here. We hear of Project Necromancer. The Emperor, when he finally gets to Mount Tantus, he says that he is there primarily for Project Necromancer, which is a project to introduce new leadership to the Imperial remnants.
Is that what that is?
That's what that is, yes. That's what they were saying in The Mandalorian with that Shadow Council.
Grand Admiral Thrawn's return will herald in the reemergence of our military and provide Commandant Hux enough time to deliver on Project Necromancer.
I thought Project Necromancer was not about new leadership. It was about this cloning business.
I looked it up. I looked it up. So yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So why? So there's a lot of different layers to what the Empire is doing, and he even says to Dr. Hemlock, you know what? I'm only here for Project Necromancer. They don't go into it from there, and you gotta wonder, why would you go to Mount Tantus for that? Yeah.
Well, that's why I think Project Necromancer, which is like talking to the dead or bringing back the dead, is about cloning.
You would think, but you know what? I did my research on that, and that's what that means.
But where is that from?
That's from The Mandalorian. That's from The Mandalorian, and taking that from The Mandalorian, and I looked.
Did you watch the episode?
From Mandalorian, yes. And that Shadow Council, they were talking about the Project Necromancer, which is bringing new leadership, so it makes sense. But that's
okay.
That's your confusion is shared. It's shared because why would the Emperor be talking to Dr. Hemlock about this project?
Well, yeah, he wouldn't. So
but,
I think the Project
Necromancer, don't talk to me. Talk to the Emperor, okay?
Well, I need to listen to this thing in the
Please do.
Mandalorian because
Please do.
I'm very confused by this. Okay.
Okay.
Well, if anybody knows, please leave comments and let us know.
Now, they didn't continue on with Project Necromancer in the Bad Batch. They just leave it there.
At least from the episodes we've seen.
Yes. But then we see Dr. Hemlock trying to weasel his way in there he wants to be the Minister of Science. So it does make sense in that regards. Because it's like Succession. Everyone is trying to vie for the higher position.
Yeah,
so considering that now, it does make sense.
Okay.
And
all right.
Maybe the Emperor is there to say, hey, I'm looking for new leadership. If you get your act in gear and you find me this high M count, well then, like the Emperor does say, once you do this, we'll begin our talk. Okay?
Right.
So there you go. With that now, it makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, he's trying to speed things up.
Right. All right. Well, from here, let's go a little deeper into each of these 3 episodes. And here we're going to start tying in the sound bites from Jennifer Corbett, Brad Rau, Michelle Ang, and Dee Bradley Baker.
All right, now, the first episode, titled Confined. And in this episode, it opens with Omega, and she's still a prisoner on Mount Tantus. When we say prisoner, we mean prisoner, because she is told by others that no, you're not a prisoner.
This isn't a cell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, judging by the guards and the locked door, yeah, it's pretty much a cell, and I'm a prisoner. And Dr. Hemlock is conducting tests on clones by taking blood samples, but like we said earlier, Nala Se just keeps on protecting Omega. Now that raises still a good question as to why the Empire is conducting blood samples on clones. Well, they're trying to find that non-degradation DNA.
They're trying to find a high M count in a clone that's already been cloned. So did the M count survive the transfer from the initial host to a clone? That's what they're doing.
Okay, but
I don't know why they keep testing the same people over and over again, though.
Right, and why would they why would they think that a clone would have a high M count?
Well, they were cloned. So
Yeah.
they're trying to find a clone that this has happened so that they can repeat the experiment. So
Okay, but at this point, this is right during Project War Mantle, where they're phasing out the clones.
right, so they just have a bunch of clones. Remember in season 2, they started capturing clones without them really knowing they were being captured and bringing them to Mount Tantus.
Yeah,
And I guess they're either taking blood samples to see if they're viable, or they're turning them into a new clone program to be like super killers or something.
This part we don't know just yet, but my question still is, you're trying to phase that's what the whole first season was about, Project War Mantle and phasing out the clones in order for the actual stormtroopers.
Well, this season is going to reveal what they want all these clones for. So your question won't be answered right now.
Yeah. Well, we've seen more episodes than the 3.
Right.
And we still don't know.
But there's 15 episodes in this season,
Yes,
and we've
yes,
seen.
there is.
we've seen
Okay, all right,
8.
all right.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll put that suspicion on hold, and we'll move on.
This whole season, like this opening 3 episodes, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Trisha Barr gave me this idea, but Return of the Jedi, it's mimicking that a little bit. Like our heroes are confined in Jabba's palace, right? They're captured. There's a member who's lost. Han Solo is in Carbonite, right? Well, here, Tech.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, I know. And then it leads up to episode 3 here in The Bad Batch, where she escapes. And that is a lot like the Sarlacc pit and the escape. What is that called? The something battle.
The Pit of Carcoon.
Yeah, that
Or Jabba's sail barge battle.
sail barge battle.
Or
that's
the Sarlacc battle.
Yeah, the sail barge.
Or
So-
the Return of the Jedi, if you're going by the Jedi soundtrack.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. I thought that was a really cool reference, and it really makes sense. It's really neat. All right, so we mentioned the dripping water.
Yes, and this
is a big deal.
Yeah, this happens in Omega's cell. I'm sorry, not her cell, but her room.
Now, this happens before we see Omega, we see the dripping water. Like, this is an introduction to Omega in season 3.
Yeah,
And-
in her cell, she's got a sink to the side.
And each time it returns to that cell, each morning, the dripping water is the first thing you hear and or see.
Once again, very repetitive.
Yeah. So we were very curious about this. It really hit us hard because it's so repeated. And so we asked Brad Rau and Jennifer Corbett about it.
Hey, we are Richard and Sarah from Skywalking Through Neverland, and we want to tap into this water theme.
As Omega is held in her room in Mount Tantus, which she's told is not a cell, we see water continuously dripping from the faucet. And that can have so many symbolic meanings, but we'd really like to hear from you and what you guys think it means or wanted it to mean.
Well, maybe we won't answer 100%, but it is very symbolic. And we always wanted this sense of sort of monotony in that episode. You don't really know how much time has passed in Jen's awesome script. When I was talking to Saul Ruiz, who was the episodic director for that episode, it was an idea that he came up with his story team. Like, oh, Saul, incredible, because we were trying to find a way, when do we put in the music? When do we not have music? And in that little room that she's in, it's not technically a prison, but it's a prison. How do we convey that? So when the team, and this is just an example of how we make every episode, we're constantly collaborating with all of our storytellers behind the scenes to get the image on frame, to get the sound just the way it's got to be. And that reverberated all the way, literally all the way through the episode to the end when we were doing the mix at Skywalker Sound with David Collins. And it was Collins, the drip, we need like a little bit more reverb. And then he had all of his ideas for when we hear it as well. We talked a lot about that dripping water, actually.
So he didn't 100% answer, but I just loved hearing so much about something that we picked up on.
Yeah, well, dripping water can represent a lack of control, experiencing loss.
Oh.
And Omega, she came from a water planet,
right?
Camino. So this could be a connection to her past that she can't let go of her connection to her clone brothers.
Oh, I like
sister.
that. So to you, it means a connection
Is
to
a connection
clones.
to water, yes.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of things that happen in the Bad Batch series that have connections to water too. Was it the ending of season 1 where the whole Camino was bombarded? Aerial bombardment?
Yeah,
And they lost Camino?
Yeah.
Like that whole thing happened in water, and remember they were all falling underwater and they had to get out. And so like this dripping water is so interesting. I even thought that this seems a connection to Omega's blood, because if you think about the dripping water, it's like 2 drips at a time. 2 drips at a time. And then you go to the blood samples that Nala Se is testing. And whenever you get a close up on those blood samples, it always shows like 2 drips of the blood.
Yeah, good,
2 drips of the blood.
Good catch there.
Yeah. I think this imagery is reinforcing how important Omega's blood is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, we then asked Michelle Ang, the voice of Omega, how she portrayed Omega in the confines of Mount Tantus versus being free with the Bad Batch. And she began her answer with the most gratifying response we could ever get.
That's actually really insightful as a question, because there was this talk about like how long has she been in this facility? And, you know, we've all talked about her optimism in the face of, you know, terrible things, but even like I wanted to make sure it felt real that she was a prisoner, you know, and so that kind of the dreariness, the mundaneness, and, you know, she's kept in this cell with like nothing stimulating, and it's she, you know, her closest person that she gets to converse with is Emery, who, although she's her sister, is like so cold and emotionally withholding. So yeah, in terms of performance, it's like having a physical toll of mundaneness adds a bit of like weight, or it does change your vocal quality, and I did think a lot about that. And sometimes, you know, the tension between wanting to remain optimistic, but like then physically sort of feeling the burden of, you know, being kept, or, you know, being in a sterile environment. And I think that was quite important. I'm glad that you touched on it, because it's a pretty dark space for a young child to be living in.
What an insightful question. Oh, that was terrible.
That's more Australian.
Yeah, no, that was more English. But yeah, that was so cool. And we got the last question for Omega, or for Michelle Ang.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really cool to.
Yeah. Well, actors always like when you can zero in on a nuance of their performance.
Yeah, I agree. So cool. All right, well, let's seg here and talk about the music in this first episode. Now, again, Brad Rau had mentioned how he wanted that sense of monotony, and how he talked with the Kiners, right, about that. Kevin Kiner, Sean Kiner, yeah, and Dean or Deanna Kiner.
Yes, to both.
Yeah, those are his children. And so they're all credited this season, which on every episode, which is really cool. So to me, it's very clear that the Kiners were talking about how to get across this theme of monotony in the music, and the music is very cyclical. It's very plodding. It sounds almost like a ticking clock. Dee, 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 dee. It's like a circle. It's a circle that just plods along, and it repeats every time a day in the life of Omega repeats here.
Unfortunately, we can't play it right now.
No.
Because we were told not to.
Well, we sign a form saying we won't share anything in our pre-screeners and stuff. So yeah, we can't play it. But if you listen, go ahead and listen to that. And also, I want to say that the music in Mount Tantus is very much just using an upper register of notes. There's no grounding notes.
Which means?
Well, to me, that means that Omega is not with her brother. She's not with her family. She's detached from them. She has no grounding, no father, you know, mother, whatever that grounding that family gives you.
Okay.
Yeah. And also the music in Mount Tantus, if you listen, there's hardly any real instruments. It's all electronic. It's all keyboard that's run through an electric processor. Very much like the Empire itself is very, like, they don't care about nature, right?
Oh, no. Clearly not.
No. I mean, even Mount Tantus itself is it's a mountain, but it's not a mountain.
It's a base inside of the so they just tore apart nature
Yep.
to put a base, a very mechanical, sterile base inside of this beautiful mountain.
Exactly. And so it's very telling when you hear real instruments in that first episode, and it's only twice. It's one time, the first time you hear a flute when she is connecting with Crosshair. So she's trying to teach Crosshair something or just talk with him, give him some hope because he has just lost all hope. And so you hear a flute. And then when she's making her Tuca doll, which is she's being creative, she's making a connection to being a child, you hear a French horn. So French horn and flute.
It's so sweet that her connection is a Tuca doll. Since she doesn't have her Tuca doll, since that was left on the Marauder, she's got to make her own.
Yeah.
That's very, very sweet. Now when we go back to Galaxy's Edge, I want to get a Tuca doll.
Oh, yeah. They are available, right?
Yes, they are.
In the Toydarian toy makers.
Yes, they are.
Oh.
Now, how long do you think Omega has been at Mount Tantus?
Okay, so if you look, she's making check marks for each day.
Kind of like the way Rey did in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, in the window. And the first time she makes a check mark, it looks like it's about a month. So every row is like a month, I would say. Because it was like 5, 10, 15, 20, something like that. And so by the end of that episode, I think she has like 4.5 rows or 5.5 rows. So I think it's been like 5 to 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that Clone Force 99 must be going out of their skulls.
Yeah.
The separation anxiety. And plus we see her hair grows.
Yes.
A little bit.
Which, yeah.
A little bit. She has a little tiny ponytail.
Yeah. And that's about, I would say, 3 to 5 months of growth.
Yeah, we don't know how fast clone hair grows. So maybe it grows much slower than human hair, than regular human hair.
Well, I think she's a normal clone, so I think it would grow normal.
Oh, that's true.
Whereas any clone who has been, I wonder if the clones who have that aging faster have accelerated hair growth and stuff. That would be interesting to know.
They're getting a haircut like every week.
Yeah, accelerated nail growth. Who knows? I'm curious about that. All right.
Yeah, we need to do a whole episode on clone hygiene.
That would be funny. Okay, well, there's a couple heartbreaking lines of dialogue in this episode between Crosshair and Omega. And I just wanted to bring them up because this relationship, so in season 1, it was Crosshair and Hunter was like the main relationship that was explored. In season 2, it was Omega and Tech. And now this season, it seems to be a lot with Omega and Crosshair. So here, this is what she tells Crosshair in the cell. I'm not giving up, Crosshair. I won't let you either. And then Crosshair says,
Omega, don't risk anything for me. I belong in here.
And Omega says, none of us belong in here. Yeah. So, and they of course did it much, much better than us. But
I did more of a wrecker than a Crosshair.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah.
Well, thus begins Omega's mission for the season, which is basically to free all the clones from Mount Tantus. And, this dialogue here is indicative of this new relationship forming between Crosshair and Omega, something which many of us in the roundtables picked up on and asked.
Yes, I love writing the two of them together because they are the odd couple. He comes off as very negative and she comes off as very positive. So anytime that these two can learn from one another, I'm all for. And I think it's also just with everything that Crosshair's been through and feeling like he was used, feeling that he was abandoned, to be then paired up with this kid who shows nothing but empathy and never gives up on him. I love their dynamic, and I just love the two of them together.
And Dee and Michelle took to that so much. They loved that dynamic, and they pushed it in all the right directions. And I would say, everything you're saying, Jen, it's so interesting how they each affected each other, not just Omega affecting Crosshair, but how Crosshair affects Omega is pretty fascinating, actually.
You trust too easily.
Maybe you don't trust enough.
Well, Brad allowed us, and Jen, our head writer, they allowed us wiggle room in making these scenes feel real. And so there would be some improv involved, because here you have little bright star Omega, and here you have grumpy old snake Crosshair. And so the way that the reason that these scenes feel more real than you might expect is that they gave us breathing room to improvise the nuances of what's playing out. And that can be something as small as just a sigh, or it can be a different way of saying it may just say no period no, but it could be performed as a no. There's a spin to the flavor of what can actually just be a very simple scene that they allowed us to play with to make it feel more authentic and ultimately more affecting, as I think fans are going to see soon.
So putting that negative and positive together is really cool, and just learning how Dee and Michelle were able to play in the recording sessions, I think was really cool, even if it's just with one word. Like he says no or no. All right, and then episode 1 ends with Batcher howling at the moon, and she is standing on top of that crashed shuttle, which I did not realize the first time I watched it. Yeah, she's on top of that crashed shuttle, and she's howling at the moon.
All right, now with that, let's move on to episode 2. This one is called Paths Unknown, and here, clones go to an abandoned Imperial base with the help of young clones to tap into their system to find Dr. Hemlock.
And therefore find where
Omega
is.
Yes, so they're on the hunt for Omega, and they just keep going to one part of the galaxy to the other, and they dead ends. So these Wrecker, he's most sympathetic of all the clones, and you can tell he's just, at night he's just turning on the waterworks.
Oh, I know.
He misses his little friend. You
know what's sad is at the beginning of this episode you cut to the Bad Batch, and it's only 2 guys.
Yeah. So wait a minute, where is everybody else?
Where's everyone?
Oh, wait a minute.
Tex gone.
Yeah.
Echo is with what's his name? Captain Rex, right? Echo's like kind of off on his own mission.
Yeah.
And then we only have Hunter and Wrecker, and it just seems so bereft.
Crosshair and Omega are back at the cell. It's like, this big family is dwindled down to the 2.
Yeah.
Now this episode gave me Last of Us vibes.
Yeah.
Where we have the old abandoned base with vines all over it, and you can tell it's been there for a while with nobody around. And the slither vines that the Empire has created, they gave me the vibe of the clickers.
Yeah. Yeah, or even the face huggers, like the little
alien
vines that were like not
you mean
not attached to things.
Yeah.
But they were like running around like
yeah.
It was creepy.
And these slither vines are experimental weapons made by the Empire until the Empire's lost control. That's why they had to abandon the base. Like these clickers or slithering vines, they're taking over. We can't beat these. These are just tentacles that just go everywhere.
Now, it's no wonder you got Last of Us vibes, because the music really leaned into the whole horror vibe, horror genre. It went with all the jump scares. The music would go, just like when the slither vines went and catch your face. Yeah. And lots of native drums were in this episode as well. So that was really neat.
Yeah. Now, in the beginning of this episode, we see the return of Roland Durand, who we saw in season 2. And now Hunter and Wrecker, they're working as mercenaries for the Deveronians, and they bring in a pike. All right? We bring in a pike to you guys. You get info for us on the whereabouts of Dr. Hemlock.
Right.
And they approach Lady Durand, who you picked out.
Yes, I am so proud of this. Okay, so I was like, who is this voice? This voice sounds super familiar. It's a woman, kind of a deep woman's voice. And I was like, that kind of sounds like Angelica Houston. And then lo and behold, we get to the credits. It's Angelica Houston.
I don't know how.
You know what?
You discerned that.
She has such an interesting timbre to her voice, and that's what I was hearing. For a woman, she has a very deep voice and just the way it sounded different, but it sounded similar. And I've seen her a lot in Ever After, especially.
Okay.
So
I only really know her from Captain EO.
That's so funny. No, so Ever After, she is the evil stepmother.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
she's
Yeah.
got a
Now that you
big
say
part.
that,
Yeah.
I can remember. But Lady Durand, it wasn't in the episode that long. You're like, hey, Angelica Houston in the house.
That's because I'm good.
Yes,
Man.
you are. Yes, you are.
I loved it. Yeah, well, you got another voice in the episode, though.
Yeah.
So later on, when Wrecker and Hunter are meeting the clone teenagers, you have Mox. When we meet Mox, who's the head boy, who did you think?
He is voiced by Daniel Logan. You can't miss that voice.
Yeah.
So there's three teens that they meet up with on this planet, which they never name. There's Mox,
Right.
there's Stack, and there's Deke.
Right,
And
they're
lead-
named in the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lead boy, Mox, is voiced by Daniel Logan. Once again, you can't miss that voice,
Mhm.
which makes a whole lot of continuity sense, seeing how he voiced Boba Fett in the Clone Wars.
Right.
As the and the young clones.
Yeah.
So you really get that sense of continuity hearing Daniel Logan.
Yeah, it was cool. I like that.
Now the Star Wars animated series have had so much great direction and animation, and there are scenes in this episode that you just want to see on the big screen.
Yes.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
In this episode, the one scene that really screams, put me up on the big screen, is when the underground tentacle creature pulls the Marauder into its sarlacc fanged mouth.
It's like a mix between a Dianoga and a Sarlacc.
And a Rathtar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
All
yeah.
in one. And yeah, the Marauder is like fighting against it, and it's kind of dark, so it's like you really want to see it on that big screen. That would be great,
And
sweetie.
they give you those Lucas long shots so you can really see everything. Not those
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan tight shots where it's like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, it was cool because they prefaced it a little bit by showing these close-ups of the bubbling, dark, dank water.
Yeah.
Bubble, and like a clone would get close to stepping in the water, but they wouldn't. Here, water is bad. Here, water is death water.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No rebirth here.
No, no.
Yeah. So this big fanged creature.
Uh,
It was very, even on the small screen, this thing is terrifying.
yeah.
Then in the end of the episode, Hunter learns that Hemlock transferred his experiments elsewhere. Where is that elsewhere? Well, he doesn't know, but we know that it's at Mount Tantus.
Yes.
And then from there, he drops the clone kids on Pabu.
Yeah.
The village water planet.
The safe.
Yeah, the safe haven, the refugee camp.
Yeah.
Now, this is like a clone refugee camp because they Fee had said, "Hey, you guys can set your camp here. You guys can settle down here." Which Hunter said, "Yeah, Omega needs to be a kid. She's making friends. She's being a kid now. So after all this is said and done, they're gonna go back to Pabu and just lay low and like, okay, this is where we're gonna live from now on." So I can see this growing into a clone refugee island.
Yeah.
Which right there's a good spinoff right there. It's like Fantasy Island, but clone refugee
funny.
island.
How
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Captain Rex can be Mr. Rourke. Omega would have to be Tattoo.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. We'll move on then. Okay.
Okay.
I'm writing my own 70s.
Fanfic?
my own
70s Star Wars fanfic.
Yes.
Oh my God.
All right. Let's move on to episode 3.
Yes, this one is called Shadows of Tantus.
Or we can also call this The Emperor's Arrival.
Ah!
Oh, here we learn that Palpatine, okay, going back to what we were saying earlier, Palpatine has got many projects spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Hemlock says that they are still working on the exotic matter.
Facility.
Yeah, the facility, yeah, and it has expanded. Things are going well with this exotic matter. But
then they move on to a different
Yeah,
conversation.
it's like-
So that was like a little drop hint. It's like, wait, and we didn't get that till the second time watching it
Yeah.
around. We're like, wait, exotic matter? Are they talking about the giant
the Zillo Beast.
Zillo Beast, thank
that's
you.
That's the impression I got.
Right, me too. Like a bigger.
Because the Emperor wants that the Zillo Beast because of its armored plating.
Yes.
And which is very indestructible. But no, once again, the Emperor's not there. He wants to talk about Project Necromancer. So yeah, we had to watch these scenes a couple of times because it's like, wait a minute, which spinning plate are you referring to?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and then meanwhile, the music is the Emperor's theme. We got some of that. We got the deep male operatic voices going on. So I was listening to that. I wasn't paying any attention to Project Necromancer or Exotic Matter Facility expansion. Nope.
And I wonder if there's any kind of M count music to connect.
So the only thing I can answer with that, the music, is that when Nala Se has given Omega the task of escaping because, oh, by the way, if they test your blood, it's going to be bad for you. You need to leave now. When they zoom in, there was really cool shots of that spinning blood centrifuge thing, right?
Yeah.
And it would zoom into her blood and it would move one down. It would move one clock turn
testing
over.
each clone sample.
So the first time it did that, all of a sudden, like, I think to the blood dripping, you heard a drum beat that was very much like a heartbeat. So it was like bum, 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 you know, and it just kept going through the rest of the episode as she's making her escape with extra music added to make it more exciting. But yeah, that was, so it could be kind of that heartbeat kind of a music.
Okay.
That would be the M count.
Okay, we're gonna go back now to the Mandalorian and listen to that soundtrack.
Although
and see
that's
if there's
by
any
a
kind of
different,
connections.
that's a different composer. So
Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
I'm sure the Kiners had listened to that to the Mandalorian soundtrack. Oh, we can take a little bit of that phrasing or the phrasing and put it into here.
Oh, that might be interesting.
So that could be a connection, which we didn't consider until right about now.
I'll make a note of that.
Oh, please.
See what Ludwig Göransson did with that.
Yeah. So now, once again here, Hemlock, he is vying for that position of the scientific minister. So that's where the Project Necromancer comes in.
Yeah.
So I take it that Hemlock did not see Rogue One because the scientific minister in Rogue One was gunned down viciously.
That's right. All of that. Like,
by the Death Troopers.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So
now, does that come after? Rogue One comes after this, right?
Yes.
Yes, this is well before.
Yeah, this is years and years before.
Okay.
So I guess he didn't see Rogue One then.
No.
Yeah, when Krennic said, you know what, if you guys were all involved in this scheme, well, all of the Death Star technicians and the scientific minister later.
Yeah. Wow.
So
good
you don't want to go there. Yeah.
You're good at these connections.
Oh, thank you very much. So they're all looking for this high M count, and the Emperor tells Hemlock, whatever you need to get this accomplished, to find this specimen with the high M count, whatever you need, you will have. And Hemlock just gives that little sinister grin, like,
yeah.
Now I wanted to see Hemlock go up against Vader. Like, hey, Hemlock, you're getting a little too close to my buddy Palpatine here. So know your place.
All right. Well, I do want to talk about Emperor Palpatine. You know, we don't hear the Emperor's theme right away when we see his shuttle, but what we do get is a men's chorus underlining his arrival with women's like very high choral notes above it, which is different, but it does actually remind me, speaking of connections, of episode 1, where you have so many choral and operatic moments within that particular episode or, you know, movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's an episode.
And it also reminds me of Return of the Jedi, the Emperor's throne room.
Mm-hmm.
Like his whole theme is usually in a men's chorus. And then also when Luke and the Emperor are having their final battle, it's accompanied by that completely amazing men's operatic chorus. So all of this is connecting again to Return of the Jedi and again to the Emperor. And then we do hear the Emperor's theme twice, and that is when he and Hemlock are discussing this Project Necromancer. And so it was like da 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 Project Necromancer. So yeah, that was cool.
Okay, the next episode we're gonna have a complete song written by Sarah. Da, 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 da.
Project Necromancer.
I think we got a hit here.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my goodness. I love that. Now, I do want to note in the music that up until this point, we have not heard any of the Bad Batch theme within the episodes. We have only heard it at the, accompanying the
intro.
credits.
Yeah.
No, actually, well, the intros just said, "Whoa," that's all it is. But the end credits is where you hear the Bad Batch theme. But we never, ever hear it within these first 3 episodes because we really don't see the Bad Batch together. So, but its return marks a significant moment. So make sure you listen for that, everybody.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
We will.
That's a little tease.
Mm-hmm. Now, throughout these 3 episodes, we've seen Omega never give up on Crosshair. So we'll segue from the Emperor into Crosshair. So Omega never gives up on him, even though he tells her, just go on, just move on, leave me here. She's like, nope, you're my clone brother. I'm not leaving without you.
Right.
And this has got a huge impact on him, because he sees that she's the family that he wanted with the Empire, who turned against him, but she never will.
Right.
And we even see more of this really sweet connection in the episodes to come. And now during the roundtables, we got some more great insight into the dynamic between Crosshair and his older sister, Omega.
Yeah, so let's hear from Michelle Ang herself.
I'm so excited that Omega is reunited with Crosshair because she challenges him. And in some ways, I think Crosshair has something to learn from her in this season. And their roles are reversed in some ways. Omega becomes a caretaker and someone with wisdom, both to Crosshair as an individual with what he's going through with his sort of trauma and PTSD, and also the reintegration of relationships after a fracture, bringing Crosshair back in and what forgiveness and real love in the face of a betrayal, and then reuniting together, what that can look like.
Actually, playing off of that last question, Omega has such a great relationship with each member of the Bad Batch, and the dynamic with each one is so different. Which is your favorite member of the Bad Batch to play off of?
I feel like across the seasons it's changed because, there has been stronger relationships, but this is an easy question to answer for me at this juncture, because season 3, it's just so delicious, this new dynamic between Crosshair and Omega. And because Crosshair is getting as good as he gives, there are some juicy moments where she really gets to be like, listen, guy, stop being like this. This is how you do it. And she gets to prove Crosshair wrong. And there's a sort of beautiful, funny bickering that underneath it all has so much love, which is, at least in my experience, so indicative of what family actually is, like the ability to confront and hold accountable and tease and still have it come from a place of generosity and ultimately love.
Crosshair is a complex character who's interesting, because he starts out as a selfish, grumpy, incredibly competent person, and then is caught with his own selfishness and also some bad calls he has in terms of what the lay of the landscape is. And so he is someone who needs to be sprung from 2 different cages. One is the actual prison cage that he is entrapped in, and the other is a personal psychological cage that I think he is also trapped in, because he's a beaten man, he's lost, and he thinks all is lost. He is done, and this is completely done. And the counter to that is Omega. Omega has learned over these past 2 seasons with the Bad Batch to be not only confident in herself, but to have a sense of optimism and practical persistence that is open to the improvisation of problem solving that she is about to school old Crosshair in. So that's an interesting journey to be on. I think one that people can relate to work through your own obstacles, to find the light and to find the optimism and to be liberated because of that.
Again, we've seen some episodes, and there's a lot more moments with Omega and Crosshair. So just, you guys, enjoy the heck out of that. I love it.
Yeah, I'm glad that a lot of us had really keyed in on that and wanted to ask the actors directly about this really sweet companionship between Omega and Crosshair.
Companionship and learning and
Yeah,
whatever it
mentor,
becomes, like,
student,
yeah.
mentor. Yeah,
You are what you grow beyond. Isn't that right? Yeah. All right. Now, Dee Bradley Baker was asked about his favorite episodes, and he touches upon two of our favorites from season 2 of The Bad Batch, which references Tech and Crosshair. So we just wanted to play this because, trip down memory lane.
That's a really tough one to choose. My two favorite moments would be, one would be Tech in the water cave talking to Omega about how he processes the world differently. That's resonated with a lot of people, and it really that might have to be my favorite moment too, because of it's something that totally fits in with the story, but it's something that people are hungry to hear and to feel is at play and acknowledged and accepted in the world. And so that very moment, I think that might be my favorite. My favorite episode would probably be the Outpost episode with Crosshair and Mayday, which is this heartbreakingly just this tragic and sad story that plays out and is the turning point for Crosshair. And I really love that clone Mayday. He's such a heroic and noble old lion that goes down and is really helps assist Crosshair in crossing over to a different perspective and finally admitting to what he's done and what the consequences of that are.
I still love the Outpost episode. I think it's an amazing episode. That's the one where Crosshair visits that outpost and he basically makes his whole shift of I'm following the Empire to the Empire doesn't believe in me and he kills the lieutenant. The lieutenant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because who says to Crosshair, leave your clone brother behind. We're not going to waste resources in reviving him.
Yeah.
That's when Crosshair realizes, okay, I see the trees through the forest.
Yeah, I made the wrong decision.
Yeah.
I'm about to write that right now.
Yeah. And he knows once I shoot this commanding officer, I'm going to be locked up. But you know what? This is the way my life is going to be. I can't keep following the Empire when they just will throw away our lives.
Yeah. So that episode was called The Outpost, and we do recommend you rewatch that one because in some episodes coming up, well, one of them, we do return to the Outpost, and it's called The Return. So look out for that one. That's my favorite so far of the ones we've seen. Yeah. All right, so now we're going to look ahead to the entire season and play a few more clips from these Q&As with the creators. So just FYI, there's no real spoilers here. If you don't want to know anything, maybe bow out at this point. But if you don't care about knowing little things to tease and get you excited,
there's no definitive answers to spoiling twists or turns.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
It'll really just get you excited. So here we go.
We've had such a blast. Jen and I were honored and, we're proud to be able to represent the literally hundreds of people that have been working on this show at Lucasfilm and CGCG and Skywalker Sound and Team Kiner with amazing music. Our entire cast is beautiful. Sometimes we say behind the scenes, even though it's hundreds of people, it's like we all became this weird Bad Batch behind the scenes as well. And so to end the story is certainly bittersweet, but we're really proud that we were able to do it on our terms. When we knew this is going to be our final season, we were able to land it the way we wanted to. So we hope you all and all the fans like it as much as we do.
I'll say as a storyteller, you always have a vision of what a product is going to be, and sometimes it doesn't live up to, that's not really what I thought. This show has gone above and beyond everything, and that is a testament to the cast and the crew.
I know you guys haven't seen the finale of season 3 yet, and there were slightly different ways. We weren't set on exactly how it was going to end, so there were sort of some explorations. But like as a actor and as like an emotional sort of moment, I'd have to say that. I know that's such a mean answer because you haven't seen it, but just I feel like it's like the culmination of my journey as a performer and Omega's journey as a character, like all consolidated into like 2 lines or something, Yeah.
I find myself at the end of this with profoundly mixed emotions. I'm very happy of how it's played out. It's cinematic and beautiful and full, and it's great Star Wars. But even if you're not necessarily a Star Wars fan, it's great storytelling. It's a compelling story with characters that you connect with. And so it's been really gratifying to be a part of that. It's also something that I very much will miss, but you learn this as an actor, is you come together to make a show, to collaborate in the story that you're telling together, but then there's always a final curtain call and you say farewell, and you move on to the next show. And you get used to this as an actor, which is a very human thing, is that we come together and tell the story of our lives, whether it's learning to be a person in our society, or to be a family member, or to be a good friend, and or to be the owner of a pet or something, but something that you invest yourself in, that you collaborate with to create this story, this human story, and then eventually you have to say goodbye to that, and you move on, and you find other stories to connect with and to support yourself with, or to give yourself to. And so that's it. It's with great mixed emotion that I feel the approach of the wonderful mission that we are bringing home.
All right, Skywalkers, what did you think of the first 3 episodes of The Bad Batch? And what do you think about our analogies? I think we were pretty much spot on with some of our speculation as to what means what and where things are going.
I hope so.
And if you found any more connections that we didn't find,
yeah,
please let us know.
Please. Yeah. All right. And also, just as a reminder, if you want to listen to those roundtables in full, all 3 are about 20 minutes long, and they're all on our YouTube channel. So just search YouTube for Skywalking Through Neverland. I even have a Bad Batch playlist where you can see previous roundtables from previous seasons all in one place. It's really cool. Well, that wraps up episode 452 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
We want to thank Disney and Lucasfilm for sending us the Bad Batch episodes so we can preview them, and also for inviting us to the virtual press junkets and roundtables. And of course, we love all of you Skywalkers who comment, like, and chat with us. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can join in our next Things We Want to Share live stream next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Now, are you interested in our books? Today in Star Wars History, Parts 1 and 2, and Skywalking Through My Fandom. Well, they are all available at skywalkingthroughneverland.com/book. And if you order it through that, then you get the autographed copies.
Yes, and that's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you also like to support Skywalking Through Neverland a different way? You can support us through the Skywalking Force, our Patreon. And as the Skywalking Force, you will have access to bonus content in the form of our Zoom discussions on the latest Disney Plus shows. We will be starting our Zoom discussion on The Bad Batch next week. And also, that bonus content begins at only $5 a month. So head to skywalkingforce.com, have a look at the options, and thank you, those of you who are already part of the Skywalking Force.
Now, we want to thank once again our sponsor, Small World Vacations, for their support. Thinking of a trip to a Disney park? You can fill out a Get a Quote form at smallworldvacations.com today. Their vacation planning service is free of charge, so check it out and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Now we are part of the Skywalking Network.
Skynet.
where you can find other great shows like Talking Apes,
The Neverland Clubhouse,
the Max Effects Podcast,
Totally Tell Me Everything,
Star Warsologies,
and the YouTube shows Collectopolis and Today in Star Wars History.
You can find us on our YouTube channel and on social media. We are at Skywalking Pod for X and Instagram and all those things. And you can also find us in Facebook. Just search Skywalking Through Neverland.
You can also email us at share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com. And I want to thank some of the Skywalkers out there who have been emailing us lately about some longer conversations they want to get into about past shows.
That's right.
Thank you for that.
And we've been emailing them back.
Now, don't forget to stick around for bloopers and other fun bits that didn't make it into the show. And
always remember,
it's efficient, not deficient.
And
Neverland on Alderaan. Hey, look at those names to the left. They are part of the Skywalking Force, our Patreon.
Become a producer yourself and check out all the Disney Plus themed bonus content available depending on the level you subscribe.
Become a member of the elite Skywalking Force at skywalkingforce.com.